Nagpapatuloy ang MH370, a PTV Special Forum habang nasa commercial break tayo. Nagtatanong tayo kay Captain Andrews kasi marami tayong mga mananakay, no? Tayo mga sumasakay ng eroplano, hindi naman natin alam yung mga device dyan.
At nabanggit nga na itong eroplanong ito ay isa sa pinakamoderno in terms of yung communication systems and airline technology mismo. Lahat na isinaksak na dito. So, how could all of those fail? Captain Andrews, pakipaliwanag nga, ano ang meron dito at paano maging posibleng this could completely disappear and become invisible?
Hindi po pwede mangyari yan unless it was actually done by somebody in the cockpit. The odds of that happening is like winning in the lotto. Now, pag nangyari nga yan ganyan, so there was an input by somebody in the cockpit. And we are now almost certain that whoever was in the cockpit is an experienced and pilot. Alam niya po kung anong ginagawa niya. Those systems cannot fail at the same time. Aside from this, you have heard of the simulator, flight simulators. All these things can be inputted in a simulator to find out what will happen. You cannot input their emergencies that will actually render useless all your communication electrical equipment.
Pero Captain, ang question ko, after 9/11, knowing that a plane can be hijacked, knowing that pwedeng gawin yun, pwedeng i-shut, wala bang technology for the airline manufacturer or the traffic control or the military to be able to track an airline in case there is such a terroristic activity?
That can be tracked. That can be tracked by military radar which does not require a transponder. And it was tracked by the Malaysian military authorities. That aircraft was tracked. Now, if that aircraft had an emergency, there were still possible solutions for them to be able to make it known to the public that they were in trouble. There are holding patterns they were supposed to create up there. If you're being tracked by radar, malalaman, may problema ito. Hindi rin nangyari yun. So they knew what they were doing.
So, are you saying, sir, na nagkaroon din ng lapse sa Malaysian military dahil hindi rin nila na-track, or kung na-track man nila, they did not communicate with the aircraft?
What I'm saying is they did not advise the countries involved in the search of the information they knew, which was very relevant to the position of the aircraft.
Gusto ko tanungin sa atin Posadas, kung tinurn off yung commercial airline tracking system, the transponder, etc., at the only system that could track them is the military, itong ating mga radar systems. Posible po ba na gustong gawin, kung sino mang gumagawa nun, to make it into a military concern at gusto nilang kausap ay yung militar ng isang bansa?
That is not a remote possibility, you know. But if itong hijack, no, or they're flying within our ADIS, kasi meron din tayong ADIS, Air Defense Identification Zone, mahuhuli talaga sila ng military radar natin. And we can track them, and depends on what the situation is or what their intentions are if they are made known. Doon pa lang tayo makakapag-decide kung ano yung magiging action natin. And yun, it really depends on the situation and if it happens. But we have contingency plans, if ever, and I think our armed forces will be prepared for these kinds of eventualities. Kasi ginigame plan namin yung mga ganyang klase.
Problema nga, Kathy, nabanggit din sa mga balita, in the system of the Indian Air Force or AFP or armed forces, nakapatay. Yung posibleng yung ibang bansa din, nakapatay din. Meaning on a need basis yung kanilang pag-switch on. Ganun po ba yung ating mga tracking system ng military,
As far as
Captain?
I know, we have a regular tracking system, no, and they're always on. That's why we can fully enforce our air defense identification zone. Not only that, we also have Coast Watch ng Navy natin. And if ever need be to use our air assets, we can do visual by our pilots patrolling the airs within our airspace. So I can't really speak for the other militaries like India and Pakistan, but for the armed forces, these assets are on because we need to secure our airspace also.
Okay.
Tatanungin ko naman kay Lieutenant Tolentino ng Coast Guard. kung sakasakali po sa ating teritoryo ay may pumasok na unidentified aircraft, ano po ba yung standard na dapat gawin kung sakasakaling hindi po otorisado o hindi natin inaasahan ng mga biglang dumating na aircraft sa atin?
I can't really speak, ma'am, with regards to yung aircraft. I think, with regards, ma'am, dun sa
Barko.
vessels coming in, we have yung coordination with the Navy and Coast Watch system. Tapos, within area natin dito, meron tayong BTMS, so yung traffic system wherein namomonitor natin yung pasok na vessels.
If I may, I can answer
ahead,
that
sir.
question with regards to military aircraft or other aircraft entering our airspace. So we have established our ADIC, Air Defense Identification Zone, meaning if they enter these ADIs, they need to identify themselves. This is also working with the CAAP. The CAAP have their own, but it is within the ADIs itself. Foreign military aircraft or other aircraft that do not identify will be intercepted by our Air Force. So that is the protocol. That is the first step if they do not identify. And if they are intercepted and they are hostile, then we have to take more drastic actions depending on what they are doing in our airspace.
Okay.
This is part of the protocol of protecting our territory.
Gidoong Ace David, itong airline industry ba, bakit siya tina-target? Yung sa 9/11, tinarget siya ng terorista. Ito naman hindi natin sinasabing terroristic
But
activity.
there is
ito,
an
pero
angle, di ba? May
bakit?
hijacking angle.
Ano ang halaga ng airline industry? Sa isang ekonomiya, is it a barometer of some sort for the economy or the country?
Meron akong sariling pagpapalagay ukol dyan. May dalawang pwedeng may dahilan na gawin na para pahiyain ang isang estado o ang isang institusyon. Pwedeng ganun Kasi kagaya nung nangyari ng 9/11, parang ipinakita nila na kaya nilang pumasok sa kanilang teritoryo. Pangalawa, mapapansin natin na itong airline na tinutukoy na ito ay isa sa mga pinakamahusay at pinaka-safe na airline company sa yun. So, maaaring kung sino man ang nasa likod nito, again, hindi naman natin kinoconclude, pinatutunayan ulit na po pwede nilang pasukin. As a matter of fact, may mga teorya din tayong nabasa ngayon on some respected newspaper abroad na even a cell phone can do a manipulation. Yun lang, i-address din siguro natin sa mga technical expert natin kung talagang kaya ba yon. But going back, is this a barometer? Possibly yes, kasi meron silang gustong pahiyain. Aside from that, meron silang gustong gawin talaga. Kung ano man yon, it could be, although as of the moment, maybe a remote possibility to get political asylum or any other aspect. Hindi pa natin masasabi ngayon.
Knowing what we know din ko bilang isang sibilyan, sa tingin niyo po ba vulnerable ang ating bansa? Although wala naman po sa awa ng Diyos na nangyayari sa atin na ganito. Are we vulnerable to these kinds of attacks? Or
I think very much, no? In the age of cheap flights and, yung ating maraming promo fares and all of this can happen to any plane. This can happen to us. I think the key is given we have to secure, dapat meron lang technical safety na sinisiguro ang lahat ng flights. Whether it is Malaysian Airlines or our own airlines, yun yung number one. But as Captain Andrew said, and I agree with that, Malaysian Airlines is one of the better or one of the very well-equipped and modern airlines. And it is difficult to imagine na nangyayari yung ganito without, yung may safety nets, technically speaking. But in the Philippines, this can happen to us. Yan ang dapat nating bigyan ng seguridad na hindi mangyari ang anumang technical glitches. Subalit, in the case of the Malaysian Airlines, I think I would go beyond the glitches. But although medyo marami tayong pwedeng speculate, the thing is, merong key player dito. I think the key player here is the Malaysian airline and the Malaysian government. Yun yung mahalaga. In the same way that if anything happens to any one of our airlines, ang key player po natin ay ang ating sariling bansa. At yun yung sinasabi ko kanina na somebody is mainly responsible. Although we say, and I share the gentleman's opinion, ito po ay the whole of government, ito ay responsibility nating lahat, whether civilian or uniform. Pero meron pong on top of this, and in this particular case, I think all other cooperators, whether Philippines, Australia, China, the key player here is Malaysian government. And we will take the cue from whoever is the key player. Ito po yung measure ng leadership. And when we speak of leadership, ito rin yung dapat na on top of the situation, who will bring out the possible interpretations, what is possible, what is not, at kung ano ang kinakailangang steps na hinihingi natin para mga supporting countries and cooperators. Yun po yung aking pagtingin. Hindi nalalayo na pwedeng mangyari ito sa atin. Subalit, ito ay, ang nangyari sa Malaysian Airlines ay isang signal or message na in the Philippines, where a lot of our people do love to travel, dapat tinitingnan natin lahat ng seguridad at kung ano ang mga options and scenarios na pwedeng gawin at therefore kung ano ang mga responsibility ng ating mga people who are responsible for any situation of this kind.
Gusto ko tanungin si Veronica Manalo dahil napapag-usapan, interestingly, yung pagiging kontrolado daw ng oligarchs yung Malaysia, na napaka-close ng political system nila, kontrolado ng isang partido, kontrolado ng iilang pamilya. Paano nagiging issue yung kawalan ng meritocracy doon sa kanilang bansa dito sa issue ng eroplanong nawawala? At paano napapag-usapan? Ibig sabihin ba sa tingin mo, Veronica, na kung nangyari ito sa isang bansa na merong a greater degree of meritocracy, na mas bukas at hindi kontrolado ng isang, hindi magiging issue itong mga bagay-bagay na ito?
That's actually a good question, no? Me coming from a political science perspective, kasi I'm a pol-sci student.
Oo nga, buti na lang pol-sci si Veronica.
Yeah, yung sa oligarchs kasi, usually when a certain political economy or yung isang bansa ay controlled by a certain group of people who hold power lang, na may monopoly of power, they usually control information. So, tulad nga sabi kaya ni Captain Andrews, they don't easily release information. They usually just keep it among themselves or among the elite group para hindi to control, to have the power, to have the control. They don't want people getting parang panicky or anything about it. If it's more democratic, say for example, if it happened in the Philippines, where we're more of a democratic country and there's actually a lot of political parties,
wala masyadong oligarch dito.
Yeah, wala talaga masyado. Although
Wala.
I feel na there could be a chance na mas maging open at transparent yung Philippine government because there would be a lot of pressure coming from the people. Kasi in the Philippines then, the people are not really afraid to go against or question the government. And it's actually a culture already. Like if something happens, parang nagutin agad yung mga government officials. And at a certain level, yes, they could keep secrets pa rin. The government agencies and the bureaucrats could still keep secrets, but not to the level of not really divulging any information. Na kasing tagal nung sa Malaysia na ang tagal talaga, like days would have passed before they actually released the given information.
Hirap na sa fuel yung Pilipinas.
Yes.
Wala doon.
Kamakailan, Mark, ay ni-raid yung bahay at in-inspeksyon yung bahay ng piloto. At nakita na meron siyang sarili niyang flight simulator. Captain Andrews, ito ba ay naglalagay sa spotlight dun din sa maaring motibo ng piloto? Is it normal for pilots to have their own flight simulators at home?
Alam nyo, ewan ko kung bakit nagiging issue na naman ito. A lot of pilots like to play around the computers pag walang ginagawa, sometimes to show their friends how an airplane flies and all that. Pero anong connection ito dito sa nangyari? Ang kailangan tanungin natin is, ano ba talaga ang nangyari dyan? They're mentioning now what may be the reason behind the Malaysian government keeping this, or not giving out all the complete information. Remember, Malaysian Airlines is controlled by the government. The issue of cockpit interference is very, very sensitive. Can you imagine if this is proven that it was caused by one of their employees, a pilot at that, what would happen to Malaysian Airlines? Kaya po, kung gusto nila mag-focus, I would focus more. This is my personal view. I would focus more on the co-pilot.
Kapitbahay daw sila nung kapitan.
No, the data that has been given as far as the co-pilot is concerned is this. He is 27 years old. He has been with Malaysian Airlines the age 20, that's 7 years. And he only has a total flying time of 2,700 plus hours. That means he has been flying only 30 hours a month, which is very, very unusual for any commercial pilot. Now, what may have been the cause of this? He may have had a separation from the airline for whatever reason. That's why he was only able to accumulate this much flying time. Lahat pa yung information na po yan, hindi pa po binibigay sa atin. Information is coming out in trickles.
Correct. Kirby?
Alright, balikan natin, Attorney Margaret Cathy, itong mga bisita nating estudyante mula sa PUP at Baliwag University, si Janina Tayaw may katanungan.
Good evening po. Para po kay Captain Andrews, regarding po sa mga plane, bakit nga po ba kailangan ng lagyan ng turn-off button yung mga transponders kung delikado po pala kung nakapatay siya?
Ayun din ang gusto ko malaman kung bakit eh. Kasi po alam nyo, transponder ng aeroplano, dalawa. May backup pa yan eh. Because any country that allows an airplane must have with it equipped a transponder para daling makita. Kung sira ang transponder mo, hindi ka paliliparin, babalikin ka ng control niyan. Dalawa yan. Now, tinatanong mo, bakit may off? Hindi ko po alam yan. Siguro, mabuti nga ngayon, baka lalagay nila 1 or 2 na lang ang switch down. Because a transponder can also give false information. Pag false information yan, the controller will ask you to turn it off.
Alright, maraming salamat po sa inyo, Captain. Mula pa rin po sa PUP, may katanungan si Mayan Cherini. Mayan?
So, good evening po sa lahat. Ang question ko po is for Captain Posada. So, according to a few news reports, maaari daw po na na-hijack ang plane through a USB or flash drive or a mobile phone, and pwede rin daw po ito i-consider na first cyber hijack. Sa tingin niyo po ba possible po ito?
There is no evidence supporting it yet, so we do not know. But we are looking into possibilities. No matter kung gaano ka, may nakatutok dyan. But it's, like I said, it's more of a whole of government approach. So hindi lang kami ang tumitingin dyan. Our partners also in the security sector, like National Security Agency and all of the other security agencies involved. But I couldn't categorically say but wala pang evidence na lumalabas that it can happen. So
Posible po ba yon yung cyber hijack?
Kinontrol na
control ng cellphone na lang bigla, parang remote
If you
control.
remember, early last year, we already came out with a memorandum that allows passengers to use their cell phone any portion of the flight, even before departure, as long as it is in SMS mode. Because it has been proven that there is no effect. The aircraft system is so secure that none of these instruments or these gadgets will be able to interfere with its system.
Okay. Din Edna, nababanggit din sa balita, yung political affiliation ng kapitan. Nakaalyado daw ito sa partido ni yung dating nakulong na Deputy Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim. Sa tingin niyo po ba lehitimong angle ito or this is a diversionary tactic?
Sa akin pong palagay ay ito yung mga dapat sentrohan investigasyon ng Malaysian government. The political and the security angle, which is, I think, also core to this issue, is a matter which the Malaysian government and only the Malaysian government will have access to and would have leadership upon. So ito po yung sinasabi ko kanina na bagaman lahat ng mga karatig bansa ay pwedeng tumulong, pero ito po ay primarily Malaysian Airlines at maraming anggulo na nagpapakita na dapat tingnan sinizero in na yung focus na posibleng andon sa loob ng plane at andon particularly sa cockpit. So hindi naman siguro napakaraming elements na yung posibleng pagpilian pa. But given that issue, ito ay nasa kamay ng Malaysian government upang palalimin pa ang kanilang investigasyon sa usaping ito. And in that particular case, I think Malaysian intelligence and security will have in providing the information and the data. And again, whatever the information and the data are should be shared with with the counterpart of the other countries to be able to come up with some other options, no?
Lieutenant Erwin Tolentino sa Coast Guard, dahil nung tayo po ay naghahanap kay Secretary Robredo, yung kanyang eroplano, naglanding po yun sa dagat, ilang araw din po yun, matagal yun, bago nahanap. Alam natin kung saan yun lumapag, alam natin kung anong itsura ng eroplano, at talagang limitado yung search. Pero ilang araw din yung hinanap. Posible po bang hindi na ito mahanap? Sa lawak ng ocean, if this landed talagang buo, ibig sabihin hindi siya nagkabasag-basag. Is it possible na hindi na ito mahanap at it already sank deep into the ocean?
Sir, with regards to yung operation kay Secretary Robredo, it took some days, I think a week before nahanap kasi nagpo-factor in, sir, yung depth time. Kung meron tayong makikitang debris, tas yung oil slick, yung current niya would sometimes bring it dun sa kung nakapagbigay tayo ng certain coordinate, hindi kasi nangyayari na nandun yung mismong plane o yung mismong vessel. So may factor in din yung current, then yung environment. At the same time, sir, sa laki nung dagat natin, minsan hindi natin makikita yan. Kasi there are certain depths na hindi na kaya nung equipments. So, sa laki kasi, sir, nung area na sinesearch, medyo mahirap. So, I cannot say na hindi makikita, pero hopefully, kung ma-pinpoint lang nila yung certain location, then ma-triangulate natin. So, hopefully makita po.
Marami pa pong mga question sa misteryosong pagkawala ng MH370 ang ating tatalakayin sa pagbabalik po yan ng ating PTV Special Forum.